Hello everyone again. Welcome back to Formula for Speed. I'm your host Chad. Here again, yet again, with my lovely co-host. Please introduce yourself yet again.
Hello. What you normally say, the baby face. It feels weird for me to
This is!
Oh, hello. You call me the baby face.
This is the Babyface. And we are here today, Babyface. We're going to talk about something that I wasn't too enthused about.
Yep.
The sprint race. And guys, like I said last video, let me know in the comments how you felt about it. Did you like it? Babyface, let you start off. How did you like it? Did you like it?
I didn't mind it. I was worried about something that you said, where you said that you felt like the drivers were not going to show up because they, for the most part, didn't have great things to say about it. They weren't very excited. But they showed up. It literally felt like a race, like 17 laps of a race. And so I enjoyed it. I still was happy to see qualifying as we're used to it, Q1 through 3. But yeah, I didn't mind it. Now, do I want it for every race on the calendar? No, I don't. But I wouldn't mind if they decided to introduce it for, 4 or 5 races on the race calendar. Maybe do it in France, do it in Silverstone, do it, I wouldn't mind in Suzuka, maybe. Like one of the night races. Yeah, I wouldn't mind it. I know you weren't too wild about it.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I think it was a good business decision on the part of F1. This is the first time all season all the fans were back at Silverstone, right? Since 19. This is a very important race on the calendar for F1 as a business decision. So to bring a sprint race to here, you give the fans basically 2 races, right? So you didn't have one last year. You gave them a sprint race, 17 laps. It was exciting. I'm not going to lie to you. The guys came out and drove. They had fun. Seemed like they had fun. Perez he didn't have a good day. You know, he spun. Sainz and George Russell had a little issue. So for me, that was my concern. Guys, the Sunday race for guys would be ruined if something happened in the sprint race. But from a business standpoint, I get why they did it. It was they sold out both events, I believe, and it was a great business venture for F1. So I get it. From a driver standpoint, I can also understand why some of them didn't particularly like it. I don't think they agreed with the rules where if you win a sprint race, you get pole. Because that doesn't mean you're necessarily the fastest car in the grid. You would be the fastest car in qualifying, but if you win that race, you get pole. So some of them didn't agree with that, but overall, Max got out and ran away with it. Lewis had a bad start. Don't know what happened. Just had a bad start, and it happens. But I do believe, guys, they look like they were racing to me. So I think the fans liked it. I didn't think it was going to be this exciting, guys. So I stand corrected. I didn't think it was going to be this exciting. I didn't think guys are really... I was like, I'm 50-50 if they're going to give their full effort because they don't want to mess up the cars for Sunday. So, what you got, babyface?
So actually taking a step back, I wanted to ask you something about in qualifying that I noticed. So Alonso did very well in qualifying. He's been progressively getting better as he came back. Yeah. So here's a question that I have for you. I went back and double checked qualifying, also race finishes thus far for the 2021 season. And you did say that Alonso coming back into Alpine, just like all the other guys that kind of came into a new team, Danny Rick, Vettel, it will probably take them a while to get used to the car, get their feet under them, and really start performing.
Right.
Agreed, no issues with that. What I want to ask you is, I've noticed that as Alonso starts qualifying and finishing better, Ocon seems to qualify and finish not so well. They had a couple of races where they finished back-to-back, like 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. I'm not talking about that. I'm specifically just looking at qualifying. It appears to me that when Alonso started out qualifying Ocon is doing considerably worse than what he had been doing starting the season. Do you think that Alonso now being on the team and him being very involved in the decision making, it's going to start messing up Ocon?
That's a good question. I noticed the woes for Ocon, and guys, let me know if you've noticed it too. The first weekend in Austria, because Ocon did not do well in Austria either weekend, not even in qualifying, I noticed his confidence, it seemed to dip a little bit. And I think he's trying to get that back. This all started for me in Austria, for a lot of guys. Alonso had a much better week, 2 weekends in Austria. So, it's twofold, right? He has to get his confidence back, but I think with Prost there, Alan Prost still being in the garage, I think he'll help shield some of the takeover mentality that comes with Alonso in the garage that people have reported on, right? So I think Ocon has to stand his ground and say, guys, listen, I had a bad couple weeks, but I still want my car setup to be my car setup. I still want to have input in the team strategy for race day. You have 2 drivers, not 1. So he is getting better because he's getting used to the car. Fair enough. But with that shouldn't come just null and void of Ocon. His plan, if you're going to involve, I feel like if you're going to involve Alonso in the planning or anything you involve him in, you got to put Ocon in there as well. Right?
So you think it's a confidence issue, like Ocon being in his own head and he just needs to get past this little hump, if you will.
Yeah, it started in Austria. I noticed in Austria it started. So I think once he gets his feet back under him, because it's advantageous for Alpine to have both drivers driving at their best. Because if they're both driving at their best, notice in the sprint race, if you have Ocon up there with Alonso, now you have McLaren versus Alpine. And you have 2 guys going at 2 guys, not just 1 versus 2. So I think that's good for Alpine. Because now Alpine can now get in the mix with Ferrari, who's doing up there with McLaren as far as the points, if you get both drivers on the same page.
Makes sense. Now, Russell made it into Q3.
Happy about it.
Silverstone.
Happy about it. Happy about it.
Very good for him.
Yes, happy about it. I was happy to see George with a strong performance. I keep telling everybody, this dude is as good to me as Lando and Max. I keep saying it. Yep.
Agreed. Now, the sprint race starts, and Alonso was one of the biggest winners of that sprint race.
Wasn't he? You see it start?
He went up to 5th from 11th. So, for him, this was excellent.
Man.
Just in the opening lap. Mazepin did have a little tap with Mick. And, they had a little spin.
He had a what?
He had a little spin. He also spun in qualifying. We're just going to call that.
That's why he was given the top by Gunzerson. He was given the spin top. Boy, he knows he spins. It's cool.
Now, lap 5, you already mentioned that Verstappen got away brilliantly. I mean, he just took off and off he went.
In the middle sectors, he was killing Mercedes.
Yeah. But, I was surprised that Hamilton took pole in qualifying for the sprint race.
I was too.
Well, we can't really call it pole anymore, but took the first starting slot.
The inaugural pole, the sprint race pole. Yeah, he took that, which was good. It was good.
Yeah, but Verstappen made up for it in the sprint race. Now, lap 5, Perez goes off the track. And
he got dirtier, I believe.
Yes, and ends up having to retire from the sprint race, which then
ruined his race.
So here's a question for you: Do you say that Perez's race weekend and Sunday Grand Prix was ruined
absolutely
by the sprint race?
His sprint race was ruined, and so was his Grand Prix. Because if you think about it, he had to retire from the sprint race, right? So he now starts on the back of the grid on Sunday. So for guys like that, you see, guys, I'm sure you can see my point. If you lose big in the sprint race, it's going to compromise your race for Sunday. Look what happened to Perez on Sunday.
I agree and I disagree. I agree with you that, of course, anything that happens during the sprint race is going to determine or influence what's going to happen on Sunday. Your grid position.
Of course.
If you crash, of course, cause and effect. I'm not disagreeing with that. Seeing how Perez ended up in that position, which was being caught in dirty air.
Yeah.
My argument would be that could have easily happened on Sunday anyways, and that could have been the same result on Sunday. His race could have been ruined anyways on Sunday.
But he didn't spin out like that on Sunday.
No, he didn't, but he also didn't start from the same grid position. My point being, had Saturday's starting grid been transplanted to Sunday, honestly, we could look at the sprint race as the first 17 race of Sunday's Grand Prix. He could have still ended up in the barriers. He could have still been does not finish. Actually, if you follow that logic, you could say that the fact that he was able to start from the pit lane means that he was able to at least race on Sunday, because had that happened to him on Sunday, he would have not finished.
If it happened to him on Sunday. Yes. If it happened.
So, but my argument being, what happened to Perez, yes, of course, what happened on Saturday affected him on Sunday.
Just like Sainz was affected.
But it wasn't a result of people being overzealous, too aggressive.
Just dirtier, yeah.
It was just dirty.
In his case, you're right.
In racing.
In his case, you're right. I also looked at Sainz and Russell, because what if Russell... What I saw happen in the sprint race didn't necessarily happen on Sunday. That was my fear, because there are two different... Because guys make adjustment from Saturday to Sunday, right? You make car setup adjustments. So the adjustments you make can dictate what happens to you on a Sunday. When I looked at Sainz, I felt bad because I felt like he was compromised. I felt like, he was compromised a little bit. But all in all, I see your point. I mean, it could happen. I just also see the hesitancy of the drivers.
Not just that, to your point, there is hesitancy, but it can go both ways. It can negatively affect you.
Or it can be,
like
it's a gamble. It's a gamble. It's a gamble.
It can positively affect you.
It's a gamble. It is a gamble. So for me, to end off on a sprint race, guys, I look at it like you're going to a casino. You could win big or you could lose big. So I think that adds to it does help add to the excitement and the mixing up of and it's what people wanted. So if you win big, you win big. Say if Lando would have won, he'd have started on pole. Just if Max and Hamilton came together Saturday and were both had bad damage, Lando could have won, Bottas could have won. So it's a big win or lose. It's you win big or you lose big to me in the sprint race. Now the actual race, babyface.
Yeah.
Wow, guys. We're gonna just talk about it. Lap 1. I felt like before the big incident, I'm gonna just get right into it. There were times when Max was running wide because he was battling Hamilton. I felt like Hamilton, when they were going at it, he was a little wide at times. Then we get to the incident. To me, and I pulled up, and I'm going to pull it up on my phone. I believe 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, Verstappen had a similar situation with, or Grosjean had a similar situation with Danny Rick, right? There was no penalty. Same corner. Same situation. I believe looking at this was more of a racing incident between Max and Hamilton. I'm honest, guys. If Max had done this with Danny Rick or Lando, because McLaren is my team, I would have said, to be fair, people want wheel-to-wheel racing. I know for a fact Lewis is not a dirty driver. But I felt like both drivers could have given more leeway in that position they were in, right? Either one could have given a little more, but they weren't going to. When it's not clear-cut foul to me, it's a racing incident. Now, I see penalties getting given out, just like last week when I complained, when Lando got that foolish penalty with Perez, with the thing that happened to Perez. That was a racing incident. But you're giving out penalties for guys racing. So do you want wheel-to-wheel racing or do you not? Because if guys are going to get penalized for putting it out there a little bit or leaving on the line, I'm not racing wheel-to-wheel from the drivers. I'm like, no, I don't want a penalty. I've seen Max do aggressive moves like that on other drivers, right? I've seen him do it. When they used to call him crash stopping, he did the same thing, right? And it was more blatant than that. That was a racing incident. Because if Hamilton would have spun out, I'd be like, well, Lewis, honestly, you guys were going for it. To me, you're going for it. And I like the breakdown we watched after the race of that incident on, I think it was Austrian TV, when the guy broke down the lines, diagram by diagram, the lines that each one took. Lewis, later in that race, took the same line he was passing Leclerc. The same line. It's the racing line. Again, that could have went either way. To me, it was a racing incident. Maybe I say too much, babyface. Guys, let me know how you felt about that. Whose fault did you think it was? Was it a racing incident? How did you feel, babyface?
Watching it and then watching the slow-mo replay. And I watched it on F1. I watched it on German TV, Austrian TV.
She watched a lot. Yeah, she watched it.
Everybody had a different diagram and different shots, and there were different opinions, obviously. But me personally, I thought it was a racing incident.
I thought that's what it was. And
I realize that people are going to go, "Oh, well, she's a Mercedes fan." Let me be very clear. I'm not Personally, I'm not a Hamilton fan. I actually favor Valtteri Bottas.
There you go.
Now, am I happy that Hamilton drives for us? Because, yeah, for obvious reasons. But if the roles were reversed and it was Hamilton in the barracks, if it was Valtteri in the barracks, I would have been able to say, I'm pissed, I'm hot about it, I don't like it. It was a racing incident because, to your point, I feel like each driver could have done a little bit more. They are so used to one of them backing off to be safe.
Right.
This is the first time that neither of them yielded. But it also makes sense. They are battling for the championship. It is very close. So neither of them yielded. Both of them could have given a little bit more. It's a racing incident. Now, obviously, I'm glad that Max is safe. I saw him get out the car. I saw him get into the back of and I was like, he is fine. Can I understand why Horner went off, on his tangent? Yes, of course. Can I also understand why Toto was saying what he was saying?
Yeah.
They're going to back their teams and they're going to push and they're going to get whatever results. For me personally, it was a racing incident.
I'm going to be honest with you guys on that. And we don't want to spend too much time on it because we know it's been talked about a ton. But to be honest, I want consistency, right? And they've been given it. They gave Lando a penalty, which I thought was a racing incident, and they gave Lewis a penalty. Now, I thought this was more of a racing incident than anything. I saw Horner's statement, and when on one of the interviews, the guy went to ask him a question, and the guy was going to say, well, kind of explain what he saw. Horner didn't even want to hear it, and I get why. It's your guy. I think what added to the fact that Horner was so upset that Max hit the wall at such a high speed and was a 5G incident. If Max was just spun out in the gravel and didn't hit anything, I don't think he'd have been that upset. But what I will say is this. You have to have that same energy when your driver drives aggressively, like he's done before. You gotta have that same energy when your guy goes to do it, maybe because this is a long season left. Now, if Max does the same move on, say, Bottas or Hamilton or Lando running up front, or even Perez, or even anybody else, we can't go start nitpicking what we want to be race incidents versus not if they look so similar, right? Yeah. Because to me, again, this was a race incident, and I saw people making, which I didn't like, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. People making the racial stuff towards Hamilton and saying he was a dirty driver, foolishness. I will say this: I think what also added insult to injury is Lewis then drove a masterful, and I was wrong on this. I thought Lewis was done after that penalty. I thought he was going to finish 7th or 8th at best. I thought he was done. I didn't have him winning that race. I was wrong. And I admit it. When he got the 10-second, I was like, well, feel bad for Lewis. But my McLaren boys, I think we got a little bit of a shot. I was so happy. I said, Lando got he got a shot in England where he's from to win. I didn't have Lewis doing what he did. And guys, I'm going to be honest with you. It was a masterful drive. I had to give him his props, but I was not happy that my guy finished 4th.
Who finished 5th?
Hey, man. You tell me. Guys, let's ask Babyface who finished 5th. One of the guys she's doubting on the grid right now. Say it with me, Babyface. Who finished 5th?
Danny Rick.
Say it one more time.
Danny Rick.
Did you have Danny Rick finishing 5th?
Absolutely not. Who did he hold behind him? Because you were geeking
Carlos. He held Carlos. And he got past Alonso in the sprint race. Everybody's a McLaren fan. Babyface has a little smidge of doubt for Danny Rick. Because she feels like he's not performing up to snuff this season. So I was happy to see it. I was actually happy that Valtteri had a strong showing because they're ready to give up his seat already. I was like, that was good for Valtteri. He had a strong showing.
Leclerc finished 2nd on the podium.
Let's talk about where Ferrari found. I'm going to keep saying it. I'm not saying, guys, Ferrari is cheating. I'm not going to say what Babyface is saying. What I'm saying is, where did they find all this pace from last year to this year? And what were they able to bring back from, say, maybe 19 to now that they couldn't use in 20? Were there other developments that helped them? I don't know, but they got a lot of speed because Leclerc was out there leading a lot of laps. And Lewis had to catch him at the end. So, Perez's race was compromised. He tried. Guys, he was done. So, man, my guy Danny Rick, Babyface, did you see that? But again, Babyface, congrats to, I want to say a big congrats. Mercedes did their thing. Mercedes is not my team, guys. I'm a McLaren fan all day. I do have love for Lewis because he got us a chip. Got us one chip. Could have got us two. But he got us one chip. And so I always have a soft spot for Lewis Hamilton. I like him. I like the guy. I'm one of the few to admit. I'm sure others will admit, but I actually like Lewis Hamilton. I'm not a hater. But I got to give it to Mercedes. Not my favorite team by any means. My second favorite team for me is Williams. Yours is Red Bull.
Yeah.
I can care less for Red Bull or Mercedes. I just give props to them both. But you guys are the best two on the grid right now, admittingly, and we're coming. We're coming. How did you feel about the race, Babyface? Were you surprised Hamilton brought it back?
No, I wasn't, because I told you.
Fair enough.
I told you.
I stood corrected. I admit when I'm wrong.
He is going to come back.
Didn't think he was. I didn't think he was.
And you said, no, his race is
done.
Said, no, it's not.
After that 10-second penalty,
No,
I said,
it's not.
nah, he's done.
Nope, I told you his race was not ruined.
You did. Fair enough.
And when he passed Leclerc, I was howling, I was jumping, I was cheering. I was like, told you. I told you.
Fair enough. I mean...
Moral of the story, always listen to the babyface.
Wait a minute. That's a good one, and I'll give you this one, but here's where I'm going to come back. I ain't listening to Babyface, because you didn't think Danny Rick was going to finish as high as he did. Now, did you? Did you tell the truth? Tell the truth.
Has Danny Rick not been struggling up until this race?
Can you give him his props in this race?
I will give him his props.
Thank
and
you.
I love Danny Rick. And I miss Danny Rick.
And you didn't think he was going to finish as high this race, did you?
No, I did not.
See the doubt. See the doubt. McLaren, we don't need that doubt. We need you to be a believer in Danny Rick, Babyface. Now, I know McLaren's not your team the least bit, but you got to vote for us a little bit because we actually helped Bottas when he spun on the pit lane. You remember that? We helped him. So give us a little bit of props, babe. I believe we're owed a little bit of gratitude from you, Babyface. I believe that.
I beg your entire pardon.
We are owed because, guys, agree with me. I'm sure you can agree with me on this one. When Bottas spun, whose mechanics and engineers helped Bottas?
Are you done?
The most sportsman-like team on the grid, and that's my McLaren boys, Babyface. You got to give us our props. We are the most sportsman-like team.
Do you have anything else productive to say?
That is very productive. I beg your pardon. That is very productive. And all my McLaren fans, you guys can agree. The fact that we were able to help him out when I don't think any other team would have done it. We did it. So, guys, we want to say we hope you enjoyed Silverstone. For all the naysayers and bored guys in F1, I hope you're getting what you want. Because this is an exciting race.
Most people that were complaining that it was boring before this.
What are you going to say?
Have just gotten qualifying, sprint race, and a race, and Lewis still won.
Oh, there was some salty... Hey, listen, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm going to call it out. The reason why you got these controversial comments and you got all this hate, I've noticed when he raced for McLaren, people were salty when he won.
Me.
And I mean salty.
Listen to me. It doesn't matter.
Big mad.
It doesn't matter. Change the rules. Change the weekend.
He still won.
Change the set.
All right, you ain't got to rub it in.
Hamilton still
I get it. He won. All right, you ain't got to rub it in. I was hoping Lando... I'm going to tell you where my saltiness comes from because I admit when I'm salty, guys. I wanted a McLaren on that podium. I wanted a McLaren. I wanted one on there, and I was not happy.
Well, be happy.
That's why I was mad. Leclerc.
Be happy that Danny Rick finished 5th.
That gives me solace.
He held off Carlos Sainz.
He did, and you didn't think he was going to do it. Remember what you said? I'm gonna call that out. Do you remember what you said? He's going to get caught, babe. He's going to get caught. It's too late. Remember what you said? He was going to get caught. Did he get caught? And I told you that. I said, hold out hope. I believe he's not going to get caught. Yep. Babyface doubted, guys. Supreme doubt.
Your faith pulled him through.
See, she just won't say his skill pulled him through. She's going to, But, hey, guys, thanks for tuning in with us. Like, share, subscribe. We're posting everything on Instagram. We're on our YouTube channel. We're active. Like, share, subscribe. Let us know in the comments what you thought about the race. Whose fault did you think it was on that crash? We think race incident. Other people think differently. So, guys, let us know what you think. Again, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.